O Ayrton sempre foi uma pessoa extremamente determinada. Ele sabia exatamente o que ele queria e ele ia atrás daquilo até conseguir. A gente sempre foi uma família super unida e quando o Ayrton foi morar na Inglaterra, todos nós sentíamos muito, e ele também, né, a falta, a distância. Então a gente muitas vezes ia para lá, ou quando ele podia vir, para poder ter essa proximidade maior. Ele escrevia muito. Cada corrida que ele fazia, ele escrevia detalhando cada curva, cada coisa que ele tinha feito. A gente tem essas cartas até hoje e mesmo à distância o contato sempre foi muito, muito próximo.
Quando o Ayrton me procurou, em 1984, em janeiro, ele tinha muita preocupação com o preparo físico, com a sua saúde, porque ele era muito magro, uma pessoa realmente fraca, e era até chamado Franzino Ayrton Senna pela mídia. Nós iniciamos um trabalho, percebemos a vontade férrea que ele tinha de buscar ser mais forte, mais resistente. Era uma pessoa que tinha uma força interior muito grande, porque ele não media esforços. Se alguém perguntar qual a diferença do Ayrton, é esse fazer.
It's not simply a stronger muscle or a better tonus in your muscle, but it's really the power, the strength you get, physically speaking, you know, to your body, but also to your mind. And you only really learn by doing it, I believe. Once I realized that there was something special in there, I really focus and try to learn about myself, because it's basically learning about yourself, learning about your own limitations, learning about your strengths, your qualities, and trying to make, as a whole, a smoother person.
When he went to Tolman, it was fantastic to see another Brazilian driving. I mean, by instinct, I was always more of a fan of Ayrton than I had with any other Brazilian Formula One. I never had the chance to see Emerson, but I had the chance to see Nelson. With Ayrton, it was different. I felt like, you know, he was driving tremendously, and he was going to be a champ.
I remember we had a discussion about top drivers like Nelson Piquet or whatever. And I said to Ron and even other people, take the best young guy coming, you know, to get a very strong team is Ayrton. They all said, why you want to have Ayrton, you know? So yeah, why not, you know, I mean, it's thinking about the team. So having a teammate like Ayrton was very, very different to all the teammates I had, you know. And also for Formula One, it was really exceptional to have two drivers of this same caliber.
A 22 años de la muerte de Ayrton Senna, su legado, su enseñanza, ese piloto con la capacidad única de ver el mundo desde otro ángulo, desde otro lugar. Así fue Ayrton Senna, comentado por quienes convivieron con él, ya sea en las pistas o en otros ámbitos.
Intense. He was a charismatic personality. He could be absolutely charming, but there was another side to his character. He was absolutely ruthless when he was in the cockpit. And he was an intensely religious, God-fearing man. And he actually believed that he had a God-given right to win.
The main thing is to be yourself and not allow people to disturb you, to be different, because they want you to be different.
De criança eu lembro muito a época que ele corria, que ele treinava de kart, da época que ele inclusive foi viajar para fora, e nas vezes que ele fez para fora para correr em campeonatos de kart, eram viagens rápidas, mas que sempre tinha uma expectativa muito grande de que resultado que ele ia. Cada ano ele tinha resultados muito positivos, então as minhas recordações são muito ligadas a isso, porque a vida dele era muito, muito ligada ao automobilismo. Desde que eu nasci, desde que eu me lembro, ele já andava de kart quando eu nasci.
Before long, kart racers in Brazil and all around the world became all too aware of the driver in the yellow helmet.
O Ayrton, eu conheci ele quando era um garoto de kart, ele era piloto de kart. Mas na época eu já pintava para o Emerson Fittipaldi, que era bicampeão mundial de Fórmula 1, para o Nelson Piquet, que já estava na Fórmula 1, então ele queria criar a sua identidade também. Então eu resolvi, pensando em colocar uma cor quente no capacete, como a Ferrari, que é vermelha, pintei ele de amarelo, certo? Com duas faixas saindo em verde e azul, saindo como se fossem os olhos dele, porque dá movimento e dá agressividade também. Então assim foi feito e foi composto as cores do país, em verde, amarelo, azul e branco. Quando o Ayrton retornou, ele quis adotar essa pintura, que ficou para sempre a pintura dele. Foi isso aí.
Si hay alguien de esos rivales que tuvo, y muchos, que le dio esa gran energía y esa gran fuerza para superarse, fue el francés Alain Prost. Y esto es lo que decía Vivian Senna con respecto a esa relación.
Eu acho que o Ayrton e o Alain foram pessoas que precisavam muito uma da outra. porque para eles poderem desenvolver os próprios potenciais no top, né, da forma mais perfeita, a competição do outro ajudou justamente a chegar nesse desenvolvimento máximo. Acho que o Ayrton não seria o que ele foi sem um Alain Prost, e vice-versa. Acho que o Alain não teria sido o que ele foi sem o Ayrton Senna.
Losing for him was already bad, and losing against me was really the worst thing he could have, and that's why his whole motivation was to beat me.
Remember, we went to the Bercy karting event, and he was there watching on the big screen Alain Prost driving in the kart, and he never took his eyes off that, and he watched Alain Prost driving a go-kart.
He knew that to be world champion, you had to beat Alain, because he was #1 at the time. I remember one race, and I think it was the Belgium Grand Prix. Ayrton always used to try so hard in qualify that after qualifying, before he took his overalls, he sit in the corner of the track and he just gets all his adrenaline back. Alain and I were looking at the times, and Alain said, "I just can't believe how he could be so quick. Where is he beating me? Anywhere else, but here, I always quick here. How he can be?" And then as I look at Ayrton was sitting up and he looked at me and he winked an eye. And I thought that he just felt so satisfied I have beat Alain, and he has recognized that I'm quicker than him. And it was so, for him, that was kind of a stage in his career. And he thought, well, I can now begin to think of being world champion.
his famous qualifying laps. It was something where you was in the box, you watched still the monitor, you watched your competitors, you had to talk with your engineer, how's the wind, how's the sun, how's the asphalt temperature. And then suddenly the engineer told you, now let's go. That let's go means you had to switch a button and to say, okay, and now I have to be fully concentrate and actually getting into another world where everything start to go in slow motion, because when you do quick lap, you try to see everything in slow motion, to do all the fine things right. And it's a kind of a dream.
Everyone who followed Formula One recognized that Senna was the master of qualifying.
If you go for a corner on qualifying tyres with extra horsepower and you've never had that all weekend, how do you anticipate how fast you can go? How do we know how fast the car is capable? So Ayrton would enter a corner faster than he'd ever been before and trust that something inside Ayrton Senna would help get him and the car around the corner. And that's an act of trust or faith or whatever you want to call it.
When you are under a lot of pressure, in a critical moment, in a championship or in a particular race, it's the one that can put together the combination between aggressivity and calculating things that will get the best result. And you need more than anything a very clear mind to understand exactly when is the moment to be aggressive, when is the moment to be calculating. To win a championship, you need the combination of those elements.
Ayrton turned up, made himself comfortable in the cockpit, remembered all the instructions about what everything was for in the cockpit.
At the time, he was only halfway through his first season of Formula 3, but he was totally undaunted by the Grand Prix car with triple the power of his usual mount.
I set off, did what we call an out and a straight back in lap to check over the car mechanically. And then over the next 21 laps, I think it was, he just went off a second quicker than the car had ever been around there. And then said, I think that's all right, I've got enough in my head, got out of the car and went home. So we were quite astonished. In that particular day, it was obvious that his brain was in total control of everything else. Was just ahead of the game. Clearly belonged in a Grand Prix car. He was born for that, if you like. We weren't ready to put him in the team in '84, partly for contractual obligations to other drivers. And then he went off to Lotus and then to McLaren. So it was quite a long while before we were able to offer him a seat, which was for '94.
are made of emotions. We are all looking for emotions, basically. It's only a question of finding the way to experience them. There are many different ways of experiencing emotions. Perhaps one different thing, only that one particular thing that Formula One can provide you is that you know you are always exposed to danger. Danger of getting hurt, danger of dying.
When we had this TV coverage, so I was doing my job, and then we look at the commentary of Ayrton, and the first thing he says is not, okay, I take this corner in first gear, second gear. He said, this first hello to Alain, Alain, I miss you. And I was really, you know, on live, and they put that in the morning, they put that before the rest. I mean, again, you know, I mean, people, so at the end it was like a sort of, all the friendship we had was a little bit hidden, you know, with all the fight we had was really, you know, just, we in the last 2 weeks we had a sort of, so, that's good, you know, but in a strange way.
Eu acho que o Ayrton respondeu uma das coisas mais lindas que ele respondeu em todas as suas muitas entrevistas. Ele disse que a vida era muito curta para se ter inimigos.
I think the best remembrance I had was when I stayed with him that weekend in his house, in his farm, and we had a storm, and the lights and the telephone went out of order. And I needed to phone my wife, who was in Scotland. So we went out and we found a telephone box. So I phoned my wife, and he went outside. It was dark, and he was standing under a light, a street lamp. And some kids had seen him and recognized him, and by then he had 20 or 30 children around him. And he was chatting to them and signing their autographs. Signing the autographs for them. And when I came out of the telephone box, that's one of the sweetest memories I have of him, standing with the light playing on his head and shoulders and surrounded by the kids and being so nice to them.
Stand out amongst Grand Prix drivers was that he knew there was something outside Formula One. And I think he made that his mission in Formula One, to build himself a platform so that he could express how he felt about things to do with humanity, things to do with people. And maybe his approach within Formula One was ruthless sometimes, maybe not humanitarian even, but there's no question that what he felt was a deep empathy with mankind and with the problems in the world.
2 meses antes do acidente, o Ayrton me procurou e disse que ele gostaria de fazer alguma coisa para ajudar crianças e jovens, e me pediu para pensar a respeito e a gente voltaria a conversar. Só que essa segunda conversa não pôde acontecer, porque logo depois, 2 meses após isso, já aconteceu o acidente, e então minha família e eu decidimos levar adiante essa ideia e plantar essa semente que o Ayrton deixou, e foi assim que nasceu o Instituto Ayrton Senna. Dividir e compartilhar uma coisa que ele teve a chance de ter, mas que a maioria das crianças brasileiras não teve, que se chama oportunidade. Oportunidade de ter educação, de ter saúde, de ter futuro e esperança.
Máximo, pessoa extraordinária, maravilhosa, foi embora muito cedo. Certo.
Vagabundo, meu, é ele!
Esse pra nós aqui é o melhor do mundo. Muito legal, muita saudade dele. faz muita falta para o esporte brasileiro.
Representava muita alegria, né? Ao domingo, tinha muita emoção nas grandes corridas dele.
Grande piloto, tem muita alegria para nós no Brasil. É difícil ter outro piloto igual o...
Ai, que beleza!
A pessoa representa tudo para o nosso país. Foi o maior ídolo, a maior glória, foi tudo.
Acho que para todos os brasileiros nós é a honra de ter uma foto dessa aqui, observar assim e ter como lembrança, né?
Ele para mim ele foi um dos melhores brasileiros do mundo e ele deve ser homenageado por todos porque eu acho que ele foi o melhor, mesmo que ele já tenha ido.
Isso aqui representou pra gente os melhores fins de semana aqui do Brasil.
Para mim, um ótimo atleta, uma ótima pessoa, um ótimo ser humano e um exemplo de vida.
Deu até um nó da garganta quando eu olhei. Isso para mim significa muito, viu? Muita saudade.
The last thing I remember in my life was there, of course, as a Ferrari driver, the Italians have a special way to celebrate you, and when they announced my name, the Italians was jumping and shouting. And I was just in front of his car, and he was in the car, and he looked to me, and he was laughing and things. So you really could see we was friends. It was a honest laugh. He was even happy if something went well for me. And that actually is the last time I really looked to his eyes, and we just been we seen each other.
The whole weekend was terrible. I mean, when, first of all, the accident of Ruben Barrichello. Then the day after, Roland Ratzenberg. And Ayrton only met him the day before, because it was his first Grand Prix. And he was very upset about it.
The team manager for Ratzenberger arrived, so I had to tell the team manager what had happened, and Senna was standing alongside me when I did that. And the team manager went away, and then Ayrton got very, very upset and cried a bit. And that's when I said to him, you know, Ayrton, you've been 3 times world champion, you're the fastest man in the world, and you like fishing. So I said, why don't you quit? And I'll quit, and we just go fishing. So when you asked him a difficult question, he wouldn't answer immediately. He would think. And he could see he was thinking, and how was he going to deal with that suggestion. And then finally he said, Sid, I can't quit.
A special hello to our dear friend Alain in France. We all miss you, Alain.
In the morning, when we had this TV coverage, so I was doing my job, and then we look at the commentary of Ayrton, and the first thing he says is not, okay, I take this corner in first gear, second gear. He said, this first hello to Alain, Alain, I miss you.
There have been many heavy accidents before. I had a very heavy accident in '89. I nearly died there. And Ayrton, one day after, Ayrton phoned me in the hospital, how I am, and I said to him, I'm okay, but I think this corner, it's very dangerous, and I think one day somebody gonna die there. It's too dangerous, and should be doing something. But okay, we was talking a bit, and then we went to testing to Imola a couple of months later, and Ayrton and myself say this corner should be changed, and we walked to this corner, and we looked how it could be changed, and we looked over the wall, and Ayrton says to me, but look, I cannot change this, there's a rebar behind, so there's no way to move the wall. And we look both and say, yeah, unfortunately there's a river behind, we cannot move the wall, so that's how it is, and we walked back again. And it was exactly the point where he died.
It was the worst day in the history of Formula One because although many drivers were killed in Formula One before Ayrton Senna, none of them were as famous. None of them were respected and idolized worldwide like Senna was. And the impact of Senna's death on Formula One in particular, motor racing in general, and the world at large, was like had never happened before, has never happened since, and I pray that it never does happen again.
A ideia que eu tenho é que ele está muito próximo. Eu não sei como explicar. Eu sei apenas sentir. E a certeza de que ele está muito próximo, porque nós temos essa coisa com a morte, de que não devemos falar, não devemos pensar. A nossa civilização, ela renuncia à morte. Então, esses 10 anos, parece que fica mais profundo, mais intenso, porque vão surgindo coisas no nosso inconsciente, esquecidas da sua meiguice, da sua forma de ser tão simples, que era a coisa que mais me marcou, era o jeito dele, humilde, simples.
Uma vez o Ayrton disse que os ricos, as pessoas ricas, não podiam continuar vivendo numa ilha cercada por um mar de miséria, que todos nós respirávamos o mesmo ar. E a gente precisava dar uma oportunidade, ao menos uma oportunidade fundamental para as crianças e jovens. Então, essa é uma visão que o Ayrton tinha, que eu tenho, e nasceu da minha família.
Hacerle al querido Ayrton Senna, a la memoria. Ustedes habrán podido ver los comentarios de quienes de alguna u otra manera formaron parte de su vida, cómo fue este múltiple campeón, cómo su filosofía de vida, el temperamento aguerrido ante el adversario. Bueno, Ayrton fue un ejemplo, fue un verdadero hombre dedicado exclusivamente a su profesión, que fue la Fórmula 1, fue la competencia. Ayrton no fue un piloto fácil. Su primer rival fue él mismo. Tuvo que vencerse a él mismo para lograr, en primera instancia, esa paz interior que él siempre estuvo buscando. En este humilde y pequeño homenaje que le quisimos realizar a Ayrton Senna, queríamos contar la historia de su vida a través de las personas quienes convivieron de una u otra forma con él, para ver el temple, para ver el carácter, para ver de qué hecho estaba este piloto brasileño que supo ganarse el corazón de todos. Algunos creen que Ayrton se debía tanto a Dios que eso precisamente para él fue una verdadera pesadilla. Para otros simplemente fue una misión. A 22 años de la lamentable pérdida de este querido piloto, quisimos homenajearlo de esta manera. El inolvidable Ayrton Senna, su legado. Y hasta un próximo aniversario.